Welcome to Start Here, Go Everywhere. I am Linda Moyo, an alumna of Jobs for America's Graduates. On this podcast, we bring you incredible guests from all walks of life, offering the skills to educate, inspire, and challenge you to succeed in both school, on the job skills, and in personal life, leading to productive and rewarding careers.
Hi, everyone. My name is Linda, and I am here with Yessi Navarro, a senior JAG student from the Nevada program. How are you, Yesenia?
I am doing great. How are you?
I am doing great. I am so excited to hear a little bit more about your story. We met a couple of weeks ago at NTS, which is the National Specialist Training in Vegas, and you were the guest speaker there. And you told us a little bit about your JAG story, but I want to dive into more of that and get to know who Yessi is. So, how did you get involved or start with JAG?
So, I had never heard of the JAG program or even the school, but about a week before school had started last year, so the 2021 school year, I went
Yeah.
to freshman orientation at Western High School with my brother since he was going to be a freshman, and they had one of their tables like set up, and I remember seeing like Josh, my advisor, there, and some students, and I signed my name up, and they called me like the next day, called me in for an interview. And they let me know I was approved like right away. So
Yeah.
I started that school year.
And what got you interested even in doing the JAG thing?
Because I'd never heard of JAG, but I loved being involved in school.
Yeah.
I was in student council my freshman year, and I thought about joining it again this year, but I saw the table and they talked about helping more with like college and life after high school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school, so I thought it was better for me
Yeah.
than student council would be.
So, after you joined the JAG program, what kind of lessons or things did you learn from it that has benefited you? And I know now you'll be beginning your senior year, so you still have one more important year of learning other things. But what were some of those lessons that you've gotten out of it thus far?
Like the biggest lesson I've learned by being in JAG is just to be confident in myself.
Mm.
Yeah, Josh, my advisor, he would make us do so many presentations, and I would basically have panic attacks while standing in front of the classroom. And
Yeah.
my class was just very supportive, though, and they'd be like, "Yeah, you got it," and like cheer me on, try to like hype me up, so I wouldn't be so scared. And so I think having that community was very important.
Yeah. And what is so great about that is during the NTS, you spoke in front of a lot of people. Do you remember that day? Tell me about your experience going to an all specialist training and you being the chosen student speaker in Vegas.
I was terrified. Um, Again, I was so scared, and all my friends that are in JAG and my advisors were both like, "You can do this, like, we really believe in you." And I was, like, practicing on the bus on the way to the casino to do, like,
Hmm.
the actual speech, and they're like, "You gotta work on your pacing," and I'm still bad at it, but I still went up there, so
You did. You
yeah.
did. Yeah. And how did you begin to write your speech? Because I know that can be difficult sometimes to write any kind of speech, but you got emotional during the speech. What was that about? Was it because of just the things that you have been through, or it was just, I mean, I think there were over 600 people. That can also be nerve-wracking.
That was incredibly nerve-wracking, but yeah, writing my speech was a little emotional, I would say. I
Hmm.
kind of had to, like, replay everything that got me to that moment
Yeah.
and just write about it. So,
Yeah.
as emotional as it was great to share it with other people and touch other people with that.
Yeah. So let's go back to some of those things. So what are those things that had to happen for you to get to that moment that got you emotional?
Oh, one of the biggest things was, right before last school year started, I got kicked out of my grandma's house, and
Mm.
my dad and brother and I, we just didn't know where we were gonna go, And my sister kind of stepped up and was like, "Hey, you guys can come live with me." So my brother and I have lived with my sister for over a year now, and that's how I learned about Western High School because she's on the whole other side of school, like at the other side of town. And
Mhm.
yeah, I like I said, I've never heard of it. This whole side of town was like untouched by me, and
Mhm.
so it was incredibly terrifying to not know anybody I was going to be going to school with.
Yeah. Yeah. And how a year later, how have you been doing? I know it's summertime right now, but did you end up adjusting well? And I know you said you ended up getting support from your JAG program, which was huge for you.
Incredible, like my chapter, they were so great. They were very welcoming when I first walked into the room, like on the first day of school, and I made my first friends at that school in JAG. I'm very close to most of my chapter members. Like we all have a bond, and I find that so cool because I know I'm part of their leadership, but we're also friends. So it's really nice.
Yeah. So tell me about your leadership aspects that you're involved with.
So leadership, oh, that was so scary. I became senior secretary last year after some like junior secretary last year after some
Mhm.
like switching happened, and nobody was running for senior secretary this year. So
Mm.
I decided to do that, and I was like, "Oh, I probably won't even get it," but during our end of the year, like, J4ND award ceremony, they announced my name on stage for senior secretary, and that was so
Yeah.
incredible. I had my family there to watch it, and it was
Oh,
really
yeah. So what kind of skills do you get to learn as the secretary of JAG in your chapter?
actually, I moved up to president after, like, a month of being secretary, so yeah. So, like, now being president, I've been talking to so many more people,
Mhm.
and my social battery runs out, like, quite often. But but it's been so nice to, like, meet all these new faces and talk to people from, like, all grade levels and meet people from other schools. It's been really nice.
Yeah. So what role as the president, like what roles have you tested out? What sorts of themes or events have you participated in?
So, we do weekly workshops, so I've been able to run all of those and have students come in, and a lot of new recruits have been, like it's so great to meet the new recruits, so I love having them come in for workshops every week.
Yeah.
Um, we are also having our freshman orientation come up, and we've been able to go to some volunteering events. This Saturday like a we have an event with Nevada Partners for back to school, so that one's gonna
Hmm.
be really fun. We do a lot of volunteering,
Oh,
and
that's really cool. So how important, I know a lot of students, especially when I was in high school, I did just a little bit of volunteering, but I never understood the impact that that was going to have later on, whether on a resume or trying to get a job or soon, college, et cetera, et cetera. So how important is volunteering and how would you advise other JAG students to get involved more in their communities?
volunteering is so important. Like for my chapter especially, we're out in our community so often. We work with other like companies. We work with like Project 150 and Nevada Partners, and then also Libre. So we do like connect with a lot of people. I think volunteering is so great because not only do you get to help people and see them happy after you help them, but you also make those connections and you get to
Yeah.
network with a bunch of people.
Yeah, and that's so great for anything that you do in life to just put yourself out there. I know you talked about being shy and just getting out of your comfort zone and things like that. Has that gotten better with, I mean, your role starting from junior secretary to now being the president of your chapter?
It's definitely I'm a lot less shy than I was. I know when I first started like being in the JAG program, I wouldn't talk to anybody. And that goes with being like I was out of school since my freshman year, since
Mhm.
like before COVID had started, I had dropped out of school. So I wasn't in
Mm,
a like actual school setting. So coming back it was so scary. But I think the
yeah,
people definitely helped a lot.
yeah.
And I've been able to like again, I run these workshops so I can actually talk in front of people now.
Yeah. So can you tell me why you might have dropped out of high school at that moment?
I got my mental health was really bad, and
Mm,
it was I was going to one of like the best schools here, like one of the big magnet schools in Nevada,
mhm.
and I had ended up leaving school and going to the hospital for a while. And when I came
Yeah,
back, none of the staff were like supportive or even tried to help me. So when I tried
yeah.
returning, they basically told me I would fail. So I was very unmotivated and decided like I'm not getting these credits. I might as well just drop out anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That must have been hard, especially I know that teachers are the ones that are supposed to support you the most and to say, okay, I'm out of the hospital. Let me try and get back to that school routine and to be almost shut down by them. That must have been really hard. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. And so when you got to JAG, did that change? Were they able, or your specialist were they able to help you out, get back on track and make sure that you're moving in the direction that you wanted to go in?
I was going to my junior year with the credits of a freshman,
Hmm.
because I only had credits for my sophomore year, and I didn't think I was gonna graduate at all.
Yeah.
But my advisors, Josh and Gina, were both very supportive, and they like during class time for JAG, I'd be working on like my adult ed courses to make up these
Mm,
credits, and
yeah.
I'd be staying after school sometimes to do it. So I did so many adult ed courses last year, but I was able to catch up credits. So I am now on track to graduate with my class.
Oh, that is so exciting. And so, do you know? I know everybody always asks this, and you don't even have to answer, but do you have a plan of kind of what you want to do, whether going to work or going to college, or what are your plans for after you graduate? What are your dreams?
I want to go to university. I want to be able to go to a four-year university
Uh-huh.
and earn my degree in psychology and become
Oh,
like I want to be a high school counselor.
oh, that would be great. I just graduated with my psychology degree, and so that's really cool that you want to get into psychology, and I highly recommend it. It's a good thing to do. And why high school counseling? What got you interested in that?
Okay, so out of like every school I've been to, I've always had my friends complain and even my siblings complain about how terrible their counselors were. And
Yeah.
it sucks that students don't have that support system at school.
Hmm.
So I don't want to be one of those. Like I would like to be a good counselor people can go to if they need help.
Yeah. See, that's beautiful. You see a need that's out there and you're choosing to become that. So that's an extremely beautiful thing that you're going for. And I can't wait for you to be that high school counselor that everybody feels supported and heard from. I For a lot of students who might not know what JAG is or want to get involved, what would you say to them? How, or maybe they're already in a JAG program and they're just in it just to be in it. They're not trying and getting all these leadership roles like you are and participating heavily. What advice would you give to them?
My biggest piece of advice is get involved. Take every opportunity that is handed to you by your advisors or mentors. And if a friend tells you about JAG, definitely join it, especially if you decide to go to college or you want to go into the workforce. Those there's so many opportunities that JAG has to offer, and depending on your teachers, they could have more or less. But yeah, take every opportunity that is handed to you. I know someone in my JAG program from our senior class got an $80,000 scholarship to like yeah, so she was
That's
able to like full ride to any university, and it was so cool. Like I want to be that, and I think like that's so possible for any other student out there. You just
huge.
have to find the resources, and JAG helps you find resources so well.
Oh, that's great to hear. And I can't wait to hear all about the scholarships that you will be getting for psychology. I know they have a bunch of them, so I'm sure you'll be one of those people to receive amazing scholarships. Well, Yessi, it's been so great to hear a little bit more about your story. I enjoyed meeting you in person for a short bit of time in Vegas, and I can't wait to see the school counselor that you've become and the person that you've become. Your JAG story, I want to acknowledge you for a second, and you've overcome a lot, from dropping out of school and feeling like you weren't being supported by those leaders and teachers that you want that feeling from, to stepping out of your comfort zone and saying, let's give this JAG thing a shot, and just blossoming through it. Going from junior secretary to senior secretary, and then boom, you're the president, getting involved in all these things, having to move, and now thinking about college and your whole future. That's so inspiring for many students. And um, also, too, I want to acknowledge you for the NTS thing. Not a lot of people in their life will ever speak to over 600 people on any stage. And you got up there and you shared your heart, and you shared such a powerful story, and you got a standing ovation. So that must have felt so good. And I hope you continue to step out of your comfort zone and do things like that.
Thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking to you, and I loved meeting you as well. And that's so nice to hear. I was so scared that day, and so hearing people tell me I did good was like, it means a lot. Thank you so much.
Of course. And you'll continue to speak in front of thousands of people, hopefully. But yeah, you did amazing.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest things, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at JAG Students. Thanks again, and see you next time.